Good day, everyone. My name is Florence Okudele, and you are watching the Multicultural Community Hour. I come from a culture where community defines the people. Community is everything. My culture believes that a thriving community is the foundation for fulfilling life potential. We therefore place huge emphasis on making our community strong. This show is about our community, your community. Imagine a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Imagine a gender-equal world, a world where all people are free of discrimination, bias, and stereotypes. A world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive. March 8th is International Women's Day. The day highlights achievements, ongoing challenges, and the need for action in areas like education, economic inclusion, and gender justice to create a more equitable world. The theme of International Women's Day 2025 is Accelerate Action. This focuses on the importance of taking swift and decisive steps to achieve gender equality. Together we can forge gender equality. Collectively we can all accelerate action. Joining me today to kick off the celebration of the International Women's Day 2025 and to talk about the struggles, challenges in relation to gender issues in our province is Gisèle Roch. Gisèle, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we move forward, I just want to tell viewers a little bit about Gisèle before she talks about herself. Gisèle is a retired social worker who lived his life in St. Boniface, and her family of origin, as well as a parent of 4 children. She's also grandmother of 7 Francophone bilingual grandchildren. Gisèle has worked in community development most of her career, from bilingual rural communities offering parenting programs and youth programs, to working with vulnerable families in urban neighborhoods, connecting them to the bilingual community services. She received the Faculty of Social Work Helen Mann Award in May 1999. She has been involved with numerous equality-seeking women's groups, including Roger Action Femmes Manitoba, Association des Femmes Francophones et Acadiennes, right? She is also a member of the National Council of Women, CWW, and international at the ICW. There's so much resume to your resume. The International Council of Women as well. She has been involved on the advisory council to La Faculté de Travail Social at USB, University of St. Boniface, for several years. Gisèle has advocated for French language services in every one of the agencies in which she was employed. Throughout her career and in many of her volunteer roles, offering translation services herself on request, assisting Francophone newcomer families to access the French programs, schools and activities in the community. She is delighted with the increased commitment of the province of Manitoba to provide French language services. Gisèle is member of several social enterprises and or co-ops as well. She enjoys traveling abroad to promote and advocate for social justice and peace. She attended the World Social Forum in Brazil, 2001, 2002, and 2003, founded as a counterpoint to the Davos World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund. In retirement, Gisèle continues to work on housing issues, having provided affordable housing to women and young people living on limited fixed incomes for more than a decade. She is a member of the Meet Me at the Bell Tower Coordinating Committee for the Salkirk Avenue neighborhood in the North End to empower the residents in the reduction of crime, violence, and insecurity. On the lighter side of life, Gisèle was a founder and currently an enthusiastic member of Les Bleus au Vent.
Les Bleus au Vent. It means wheat in the wind.
Oh, okay. A community choir founded in 1974 and participates actively in the rich cultural life of her community. She is also happy to lend her voice to the Winnipeg chapter of Raging Grannies, I love them, for social justice and the numerous causes. Viewers at home, join me in welcoming Gisèle Roch to the show. Your resume is big, is huge, is interesting, and that goes to tell the work you have done throughout your life as an adult. So we really thank you. So please, Gisèle, before we move forward, I would like you to talk to viewers about yourself. I know I've read a little bit about what you do, but talk to the viewers at home about yourself and the work you do.
I'm the oldest of a large family, a large Francophone family, and where I was the oldest and followed by 5 brothers.
Great.
And
Wow.
so, and then, so I total of 7 brothers and 3 sisters. And so I learned a lot of, I guess, being my mom's deputy assistant. I learned quite a few skills. And I was always concerned, interested in how all different personalities, and then realized that, well, there's kind of social constructs there that kind of, give people roles and things. And so I decided to learn more about that by going into social work.
Wow, thank you so much. I like the phrase mom's deputy. I don't want to start from there, but I will. And I just wanted to say, could that have been why you are the way you are?
I was, because I was kind of the babysitter,
Yeah.
and I felt comfortable there. But, I was a very, very shy young woman, a shy student. I just was retreating in the wall. And even in social work, we could go into group work or community development, as well as individual counseling. And I thought, well, I'll deal with individual counseling. That'll be it,
Wow, that's great.
But so then I was interested in so many causes. And when my heart was touched, I just felt I needed to, I found my voice, to defend and bring injustices to light and create supports.
Viewers at home, I think the first time I came in contact with you was on a women's event, and I think it was a Provincial Council of Women that put that together sometime 2008 or so. I've known you for a long time, more than you knew, but your smile across the room, now you're telling us you're a shy person, your smile and the way you welcome people is quite amazing. And I think meeting you for the first time and you had this welcoming smile, I felt at home being a new immigrant at that time. And I just wondered, from the work you do, how do that come to play? Like people that you meet, because I know you are huge on immigrant families, helping them resettle. Can you talk to viewers on that?
Yes. Well, my father was very much interested in international. He had a chance I think he was 22, to go to Argentina on a freight plane. That was just after the war, 47, that he had a chance to go to Argentina, take some cattle, where I think that's where some company has started using beef from there. It was,
Wow.
So it's just, he's a traveler. He's always been interested in, people, cultures and stuff. So many of my brothers and sisters have been to South America and later in Europe. And one brother even went to Africa and a student kind of experience. Anyway, so we have an openness, and I think that I appreciate the challenge of different languages, and how people must feel when they come here, when they're struggling even just to express themselves in these official languages here. So that, as the Francophones in Manitoba, although we were more numerous at Confederation time than the Anglophone, Louis Riel had put in the conditions to join the Confederation that there would be, we would join, we'd be happy to join, but let's protect the languages and our beliefs, our religious beliefs, And so, even though there were more francophones then, he knew there would be more
Yeah.
anglophones, but that protected in a way. And then we've been a minority ever since, you know.
Wow.
So I could relate being a minority in my own country.
Yeah, yeah.
And it appeals, you know, I have a concern to make sure people feel welcome, and I can appreciate the struggles.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gisèle. It's amazing when people talk about feeling of being a minority. And who, you know, sometimes it's better, things are better said by people who have experienced it. And I'm sure that the people you meet along the way while doing your work will also tell you that there is something about you that makes the difference in their life. Have anyone ever told you that?
Well, yes, you know, I get, you know, people do approach me and say, oh, that was so helpful or whatever. Because there are lots of resources, and things, but people don't always know about them. So I was very glad to be working in a setting where it was learning about the resources and connecting people to them. And so I continue to do it.
Wow, thank you so much. I would still stay on that helping families settle in Winnipeg. I wanted you to talk to us more about the past. You know, I've been here now for 25 years. I'm just wondering, from your experience settling, helping immigrants settle, do you think it's been better than previous years? What we are having now, are they finding things easier now than before?
Well, you know, I've been retired now over 12 years.
I know.
So
You never
I'm
seem
like
very
learning.
tired.
But I, you know, like before when it's part of my job and stuff, like I knew the government programs at that time. And so now, you know, some really good programs have been cut, and others are taking, you know, or have been designed. And so I think social assistance, you know, is tough. It was tough, and it still is, but it's a little bit better, but it could stand way more improvement. I look forward to a day where we would have a income, you know, everyone having a minimum income, and that you're able to survive on, and then it can be adjusted or whatever, you know, at the income tax time, you know, that it's adjusted. You know, a lot of the people I deal with, they have to learn English before they can get a job. So then they are kind of limited to our government programs. But, you know, like, I'm a baby boomer. And so it means that I voted for the first time when I was 21. For Pierre-Elliott Trudeau, and he was the prime minister at the time, like, that got elected. What else could I say? So imagine, it's in those, like, in the 70s when I graduated in 69 from high school. And so since then, like, it was 1975 when it was the International Year of Women, and, you know, many governments, including our own, had a commission on the status of women doing research and studying the situation. Because before that, women could not take out loans. Women could not buy a house. They could not have their own business unless, I guess, maybe, I don't know, if as long as it didn't cost anything. And
that was 1975, you said?
Yes.
It's amazing for viewers at home, especially immigrant families listening to us today. I'm sure you'll be surprised to learn that, you know, some of the things that are happening in other countries once upon a time did happen here in Canada. And it's not even far.
Even like
far away.
No. Like it had to be the father or the husband who would sign for children to be or the woman to get some treatment at a hospital. Like you know, it was like the child didn't have a status. But I think, you know, Manitoba was the first province with Nellie McClung and the Famous Five. Was our province in 1916 that got the vote. The first province to get the vote for certain women, right? Not all women had an opportunity, you know. Our Aboriginal friends only got that in the 60s or 70s. And yes. So there's been lots of changes.
There has been.
That's good.
There's been lots of changes.
And like, you know, there's been policies to welcome more and more people. And this government in the 2000s, every millennium, because we got the French community anyway, you know, we lost a lot of our population through immersion ourselves. We got swallowed up in the English community. And it was cool to be speaking English, and, you know, it wasn't so cool to be francophone. So we lost a lot of people. My student friends, my colleagues at school, you know, a lot of them did not feel pride in their culture. So the government and various associations really worked hard to get that pride happening and stuff.
Again, yeah. It's thank you for sharing that with us, because, you know, from our perspective as immigrants, sometimes we talk about language barrier, and everybody wants to learn the English, and yet Canada is a multicultural country that encourages, and the official language is English or French. And I remember, you know, among the African immigrants, being French seems to be like an added layer to your qualities, and an added something to boost you up more. And within the African communities as well, French-speaking countries are, we even from the, you know, Africa, you know Africa well, some are English, some are French. But from the English aspect, we always feel that the French communities, African French immigrants, settle faster than the English immigrants, so English-speaking immigrants. So I don't know what's happening in that area. Do you think that is true? Or we just assume?
I think you assume quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because of the language. You know, if a person is so lucky to find work in the bilingual community, you know, in the Francophone community, well, then it goes much faster there to, you know, get settled in. But, you know, I think we're 3 or 4% in Manitoba, Francophones. So I was starting to say that the governments and association, but the NDP government at the beginning, when they kind of came to power there in the 1999, when they decided to bring more newcomers to Canada, to our province, there was an awareness to make sure there would be Francophones, to not even bring more English, you know? To keep a balance. So that was, that's why we have quite a few Francophone newcomers, you know, from the French colonized countries. So we, they blend in well with our communities. And we've developed greater pride, and we're including, you know, French immersion students to participate in our cultural life. You have Festivals Voyageurs, you know, just so many festivals that we try to let people know about, so that it's so to get to know us better and to appreciate each other.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that with us. I was just listening and I'm thinking, I know within the Nigerian community, for instance, for your child to attend, a lot of Nigerians want their children to be bilingual. Even this is a desire from back home, like it's not born because they are in Canada. Back home, I know my auntie is a French teacher, teaches French in Nigeria. And it's funny that you could, in Nigeria, for some reason, you could, at some school, you could take English or French. And my auntie took French, and she teaches French in high school. So that desire to learn French is in most African countries' background. And so I'm so surprised, you know, when they move over here, that they feel the need to even, but then I understand what you say, because it's not just fight. At workplace, how many workplaces have strict French. You know,
Not too many.
not too many.
Yeah.
And they still have to work with other people, communicate with English. So,
But I can understand it. I went to Brazil and I hosted Brazilian students in my home with my kids, and tried to learn Portuguese, and it has the Latin roots like French.
yeah.
So I could catch quite a bit. I speak maybe at a preschool level there, but we could make ourselves understood.
Yeah.
But you just appreciate how English has so many exceptions, and the French verbs are so complicated. There's complexity, and so it's when the newcomers are learning English and they find it challenging. Then they kind of say, "Well, I'm going to spare my child all this grief." But the children have a very flexible, malleable mind, brain, that they learn English without even knowing, without being aware of it. I recall me, when we moved to the city, I was about 5 years old, and I went to play out on the sidewalk with little girls. I came back home and told my mom, there's talking, but I don't understand. She says, "Oh, they're speaking English." And then I don't know how much longer, not very long. Then I remembered, I was playing with them, say, "Hey, I understand what's going on," just at 5, 6 years old, you learn. So it's really important for parents, the newcomer parents, not to succumb to that temptation that, I will make it easier for my child.
Yeah.
It's a gift to have as many languages. It opens doors to cultures.
Yeah.
To that welcoming feeling than just to say hello in another language or thank you.
Yeah.
Salamat, obrigada, muchas gracias.
That's so much language you can speak. I don't know how many languages I can speak, but I can only brag about 2 only, or maybe 3. But anyway, thank you so much for bringing that to the notice of the viewers at home. It's amazing and very, very important in a community for everybody to be valued, every language to be valued. And our guest today, Gisèle, is informing us and letting us know about what the French community is going through. Today, it's a day for us to look at the community, the French community, and the challenges facing the French communities. And also immigrants from French communities can look back, can listen, and maybe learn 1 or 2 things from the experience of Gisèle. Gisèle has been in the community for such a long time as a young woman and helping out resettle immigrants, connecting immigrants to services that they will not ordinarily have known about. So we are so pleased and happy to have you with us today. Moving on forward, I just wanted to, I know tomorrow is International Women's Day. Congratulations, by the way. And I'm not moving away completely from your experience in volunteering with the French community and all that. But this ties into what you did. And that is working with the provincial, or volunteering with the Provincial Council for Women of Canada. And I was just wondering if you can share with us some of the challenges or some of the success stories that you have watched see over the years.
Well, I will take the opportunity as a member of the Council of Women of Winnipeg. We're part of a kind of a federation. That local council is a federate of Provincial Council of Women of Manitoba, which is a federate of National Council of Women of Canada, which is a federate of International Council of Women. And every year we can only act on policy that is adopted by in a democratic way by the membership.
Council level or local level?
Both.
I guess both.
Yeah, like national, we're expecting the resolutions that people have sent over to national to be sent to everyone across the country. And each in our local councils or provincial councils, we all debate them and see, are we ready to support this motion? And then we send our information, our comments. And at the national annual meeting, people debate there, and sometimes it's sent back, and a lot of them are adopted. And so, National Council and Council of Women of Winnipeg, we were founded in 1893 and 94.
1894.
So last year was like 130 years.
Nice.
At that time, there was like daycare. Like, you know, it was still a need. The women weren't voting yet then, remember? No, I mean, you could be aware of that. So there was a lot of information that people knew that, you know, you'd need daycare, you need lots of services, you know. And Council of Women of Winnipeg, I can't remember the lady, but they were the ones that pushed for the Children's Hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
you know,
that's
from working in a house at early days, you know, not far from here, actually. It eventually has grown to be the institution that it is, eh? They also, at the local level, we talked about libraries, green space. It's municipal issues at Council of Women in Winnipeg. And and then some of our issues, like we would like to see the railroad go to Center Point. You know, we have a network here of so many railroads crisscrossing. It's dangerous. And ecologically, it's a challenge because people are stopped for 10 minutes sometimes to let 200 oil rigs go by, or, you know.
Where you make sure it's time
railroad, cars, tanks. Yeah, you know, when you think of that. So we would really like, you know, to have that all get out and sent around the city instead of through, you know,
the city
network in the city. So anyway, that's like one, that's municipal. But because that was started with a Winnipeg issue, then I thought, hey, that's how all the capital cities of the provinces got founded, was this railroad going through.
The other train incident that happened.
Yeah. So then it moved up to National Council. You see, they adopted that.
Okay.
I remember also starting with the councils when there was a debate about physical discipline. And having worked with child and family services, you see very dramatic situations. And although a lot of the lovely ladies were thinking, oh, parents need to use their authority, and what will they do? The children will run wild.
Yeah.
But I was doing parenting programs, and, you know, we have to learn different ways. We need to model respect, and we need to hold people accountable, but it doesn't have to be in a humiliating and controlling way.
Yeah.
And you don't want to spoil them. Anyway.
Yeah, that's good. We are sitting back just listening, because it's amazing that all these wonderful projects all started from Winnipeg. And when you talked about the railroads, you know, moving them outside, I'm sitting back, I'm thinking, geez, yes, each time I go across railroads and a train is coming by, I always remember the incident that happened in Lac du Bonnet, incident with the train. Yeah. And it kind of scares me that, and it has happened in various cities, not just in Canada, and it's high time that, you know, something is done about that. So I'm so glad that the Council of Women of Winnipeg is working on that, or saw a fit to bring such issues up. Thank you so much, Gisèle. Viewers at home, tomorrow is International Women's Day, and the theme for this year is Accelerate Action. So, Gisèle, if I may ask you again, I know you have talked about the wonderful policies that the women are doing in Canada, starting from Winnipeg and then the province. Do you think that we are doing enough to ensure and to support the rights of our women and Indigenous sisters in their struggle?
Well, we can always do better. Yeah. I mean, there's been lots of improvements, and a policy that's interesting that Provincial Council had brought forth and we debated was to have the language bank at the hospital, you know, because otherwise, like, it was often children accompanying their mom at the doctor's appointments to be translating. Sometimes it can be a challenge, and what do they really know? And so we thought that was really not acceptable, and we passed a motion that was very high, a high urgent matter to be dealing with. And it's been. I know that my francophone friends, when they go to the doctor, they will tell the reception, they know on the file that this is a francophone person, and they need to book a translator to be accompanying them, and they are trained people.
Wow.
So that's good.
That's really wonderful.
That's huge. I imagine myself being in Mexico, let's say, and I get sick or I have an accident. I would not be able to sign papers in a enlightened way. I pick up a few words here, but I would not understand what's all going on.
It's true. It's true.
So, healthcare is so important to be to provide really respectful and responsible care. So there needs to be more training, because I hear this year there's been quite a few testimonies or conferences around the shortfall of how the care that newcomers are given.
Okay.
Assumptions, that it's not really that painful, and because people might have some different immune issues, or there's a lot of ignorance, I think, still about diseases and immunity from illnesses in your countries.
Oh yeah, and so for some of these countries where we all come from, some sicknesses, like we don't have the knowledge about sicknesses, are not out there for people to see. I know that even in my own case, sometimes I have to tell my sisters, "Oh, you can Google it," So they have phones, they have computers, but they don't know that. Oh, I'm feeling this way. I could go on the computer, at least get a basic knowledge of what is happening.
There is health links, that people can call any time of day or night if their child is very ill. Do you want to know, is this so serious I have to go to emergency, where you might have to wait for 12 hours? And then your child is exposed to all the other germs there, waiting that time. So it's good to get a professional opinion about how urgent this is and what you can do in the meantime. And they even have it in French, Info Santé.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice. I'm so glad to see all the improvement that is going on within the French community as regards to settlement of new families in Manitoba. Moving on, thank you for that, because I'm sure viewers at home who haven't known will maybe take out time to check out the French community at Provincial.
Provencher has a French Cultural Center, has lots of programming there.
Yeah. One time I stepped in there and I had some connection and some stuff to do there, but I was really amazed at all that they offer there. And I hope that everybody is aware that you can go in there and get services, offered to you. Whichever services you are looking for, you can get somebody attend to you in French language.
Yes. Okay, so the Cultural Center is more, I'd say, cultural. Like there's jazz, Mardi Jazz is a jazz night, there's different music or, plays, stuff like that happening over there. But I think you're referring to the Access Center, maybe Access Center on Goulet Street. That has... that was
they used to be on, maybe they moved now, they used to be on...
Desmurins?
Provincial Desmorin, is it? Provincial?
Yes.
So Franco...
Yes, there were, but they moved now. It's about 12 years now. They've moved on to Angoulet. So it's an access center.
Okay.
But the idea is that everyone in the French designated ones, they need to be able to speak English or French, like depending on if the person says hello or bonjour.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody, even janitors.
Wow. I'm so excited to get this news across to all our viewers at home, especially the African immigrants that are coming. If you are French speaking, and you are feeling that people don't understand what I'm saying or what we are talking or what you are talking about, please, you can go to the Access Center on Gule and get more information regarding all the services that are open to French-speaking communities in
Yes.
Winnipeg.
The access centers, they have the national program like Canada programs. Then there's also all the provincial programs, and then the city has a desk there to be paying the utilities or getting licenses, permits, and stuff like that, you know? So the 3 levels of government in one place, and everyone is supposed to be bilingual so that it's a one-stop shop.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you, Gisèle. Again, I'm taking you back to International Women's Day and talking about the Provincial Council for Women, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I want to bring in the work they have done around the Indigenous women. And I was just wondering, in your own understanding or experience, and I may be wrong, do you think they are doing enough to support the struggles of the women of our Indigenous sisters?
Well, I know that, you know, some 15 years ago already, if not 20, Winnipeg was hosting a National Council of Women of Canada's AGM, annual meeting, and at that meeting, we signed a declaration in support of our Aboriginal sisters, you know, to provide them like with the assistance they need to be protected, and even like to try and solve some of the the disappearances and things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have that concern. We have that concern, and we certainly support all the truth and reconciliation. Those efforts. They're slow in kind of actually being implemented. But you know, there's so many interconnecting factors. I try to highlight that the 12 determinants of health, you know, cover a lot of those things. We need safe neighborhoods, safe housing. We need enough income to provide the basic needs. It makes a difference if you're a female child born or a male child, you know, in your outcomes or the hopes for your life. So we need to really look at those issues and work on them, get our governments to respect those principles. That means safe housing. You know, homelessness is not acceptable. So we need to invest in those kinds of things. And so
I hear you. Again, when you talk about homelessness and housing, you will think, you know, every government should make this a priority to have people housed at least, you know, from look at the weather outside. But instead what we see is shelters being filled up, you know, and
night by night.
Night by night, shelters, all the shelters across the city are filled up. I once worked for Main Street Project, and one of the things that we do have is some nights we are calling all the shelters, do you have space, do you have space? And I think, you know, as volunteers in our community or as people who love our community, we want to see everybody having their own houses. We want to see people resettle in an environment that they can call their own and not being in the shelter. So thank you for bringing that to the notice of our viewers. Hopefully, you know, we will keep working. Again, it's accelerate action. We are hoping that this year women will continue to join hands together to accelerate all the works that we have been doing, going along, and we will keep pushing until we begin to see results. Like you said, the results are coming, but we can do better, right?
Yeah,
we can
lots to do. Like one example that I would just like to flag is that like minimum wage. In early 2000, there was a conference there between employers and workers and government and everyone, union leaders, to say, okay, what are we going to do about this? Because they would kind of wait till it was desperate, you know, and then they make an agreement for a short time. Meanwhile, then it had been 10 years, I think, since the last time that was raised in those days. And so then they came to a plan with that it would be a schedule. And so, because the business would say, well, you know, we can't be changing it all the time. We won't be able to afford it. But so they said, okay, well, it'll be incremental, a little bit at a time. And like every year or every 6 months, it would go up a little bit so that people could plan. Okay, so it's just that minimum wage, they kind of think, some people think that that was like for students, you know, that want a little job to help save for their university or something. They're living at home. Well, that's not our population.
No.
The reality is that 2/3 of minimum wage earners are women.
It's true.
And 2/3 of part-time workers are women. So that's double jeopardy. Like you're earning minimum wage and you don't even have full-time work. So how are you going to be supporting your family?
It's true.
So it's important that any government program, any government law or policy be looked at through the lens of a gender-based analysis plus. So that's like for how does this impact women negatively? And if so, what are the remediations to make it more just? So that's one example, like, and then, you know, it got suspended when this government, the other government came in. They suspended it after years of it coming into play on a regular basis. Mr. Pallister said, oh, we'll study it. We'll suspend moving on with this plan and we'll study it. So it was like 7, 8 years later that Madame took over. And so she said, okay, they were going to really look at it now and gave people 5 cents an hour wage upgrade. 5 cents an hour. That's a coffee every 2 weeks.
5 cents.
Until they would kind of settle on a reasonable amount.
No.
Anyway, so finally, before the elections, it got increased considerably.
Okay.
And but all that time that people were at that old level, then they could not get pension. You know, they couldn't contribute the same amount to their old age pension.
Yeah.
And so if it's women that are in that position, especially, it means they'll be poor way into their elderly years, their golden years.
It's true. It's true. I've heard a woman who was about to retire, and she was sad. And one time I was talking with her, and I said, "Why? You should be happy, you know, that you still have the health to retire and then go do things that you love to do." And she's like, "I'm just so scared that I might die of hunger. I might not be able to afford anything when I retire." Now, listening to what you said, I just realized why she made that statement, you know, and it's unfortunate that it is happening in Winnipeg. For immigrants that are watching at home, this is Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I know some of us haven't gotten to that point where we will retire, but think again of the people that have gone before us or people that have been ahead of us, how their experiences and all that they will want to change for us so that we can have a better life. I mean, all the struggles that women are doing across the board is to ensure that our daughters that are coming behind us have a better life than we do. Am I right on that?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you so much, Gisèle. So before we end the show, I just wanted to ask, from your vast array of experiences, if you were asked to make a wish on a day like this, International Women's Day, what would be your wish for the women of the world? Starting from Winnipeg.
It's like I just hope that women's rights are human rights everywhere, you know?
Yes, yes.
I'm sure that, you know, there's some countries or whatever, people kind of, men are happy that they are men. They would not want to be a woman.
No.
You know? So I think whenever we're wondering how we're doing, it's just like, how would we want, how would we feel to be a person who is not a white male? You know? So until we can say, everybody's getting the same treatment, we have all the same opportunities for education. I also want to say that culture is, a very rich part of our lives, eh? But let's say that they're not perfect, the cultures, eh? Sometimes it has some little troubling things in it. So I consider culture like a living, dynamic system. And so when we have more information, like about, effective parenting strategies, more justice, research that shows how when you raise the income level for everyone, for the lower income people, it increases and improves the situation for the whole country. What's good for women and families and communities is good for everyone.
Yes.
And so it's important to try and work for those changes. And from the research and everything, let's adapt the new information. We know now how to reduce the risks for heart attacks.
Yes.
Like it depends on exercise and it's healthy, healthy foods, diets, sleep.
Good sleep.
Yes. So many issues. So we can learn and include that. We all are eating food. Now let's maybe make it flavorful according to our tastes, but to, learn new recipes to incorporate more vegetables and fruits and proteins of all kinds to improve our world. Set aside, we went through certain periods, we've learned better how to relate to one another, etc.
Yes.
And let's move on and include more constructive, empowering strategies and celebrate all our beautiful differences.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gisèle. I truly value what you said. I come from a cultural place as well. And doing this show and I've interviewed quite a number of people on the show. And one thing I've come to understand is that, like Gisèle have told us, reminded us today, when we put aside some of this stuff and learn to, invite other people into our space, other cultures, learn about few things that will help us, we tend to work better as a group and as a community. Viewers at home, thank you for watching. You're watching the Multicultural channel. In my community, it takes a lot to build a community. So everybody have a role. And what is your role? Our guest today, Gisèle Roch, have worked tirelessly as an adult, mother, sister, grandmother, and now as a retiree still working. And it's people like this that we bring to our community to teach us how we can be of help, rather than sitting idle and thinking, what can I do? Seek out in your community how you can be of help, how you can help your community grow. Gisèle was working tirelessly in the French community as a child, as a youth, and as a mother and as an adult, and then getting old. But she never relented. This year's International Women's Day is accelerate the action. When we all pull together, we tend to accelerate the action, and we tend to push forward all our challenges that we are asking for. And we gradually see those challenges melt in our way because we are all holding together as a community. So thank you once again for being with us, and thank you, Gisèle, for being on this show. On behalf of all the staff in your Multicultural channel, and for the wonderful work you have done to build the French community and to help assist immigrant families settle in the French community in Manitoba, in Canada, and for all the work you do. This is your card, but I want to open it because I thought this just simplifies all that you have done. When two people are holding things together, it doesn't fall.
Beautiful.
It doesn't fall. Thank you so much for the work you have done in our community.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's the significance of that. The two, I just wanted to explain it to you that little push helps the world to stand there, you know,
Oh, yeah.
to move forward.
That's great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Very
You're
thoughtful.
welcome. Thank you so much for watching the You Multicultural channel. This is Florence, and thank you, Gisèle, for joining us to this show. Please make sure to tune in next time to our next episode.